in Jake Rowe. And we welcome our ESPN2 audience, those that have been watching Ole Miss and Memphis, the Rebels, 20-point victors, holding serve at home. Here in Boise, Idaho, Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, Alex Cordry. Great to have you on board on what has been a wild weekend so far in the world of college football. Third down on the opening possession of the ball game for the Boise State Broncos. And Rippon fires his strike. That's Thomas Spurbeck. First completion of the contest. And on third and long, a gain of 13. The drive continues for Boise State.
Well, Thomas Spurbeck, the wide out for Boise State. Number 5 in the nation. 122 yards receiving per game. Right there, a little square out. Enough for the first down, and the ball right on the mark by Rippon.
Broncos 3-0 for the first time since 2011. Coming off back-to-back wins against Pac-12 foes. Last week, that victory coming at Oregon State, in the pass towards the 30 and caught. No, they're going to rule him out of bounds. One official ruled it initially a completion. Daniel Gray in coverage.
Was an incomplete pass. It's second down.
And we'll take another look at this one, Tom.
Yeah, they had a little one-on-one, Spurbeck and Daniel Gray, the corner, and sure enough, he does catch the ball, but that first step is out of bounds. Right on the line judge right there to make the call.
Brandon Cruz, our Mountain West official tonight, our head official. Bring up second down and 10. Boise State ultra aggressive offensively, with head coach Brian Harsin now calling the plays this season. And the Aggies showing pressure. Right side, McNichols. And Tom, a quality pickup on second and long. Aliafua with the hit. And a gain of 6 for McNichols. It brings up third down.
Yeah, remember, McNichols coming off a career game a week ago against Oregon State. He had 208 rushing yards. And, you know, he really is such a dynamic player coming out of the backfield, not only running the ball, but catching passes as well.
Broncos 47% on third down this season, 1 for 1 tonight. Rippon with time to McNichols. Sent the pass behind his running back and forced out of bounds. He'll be short of first down yardage.
Yeah, not a real clean throw that time by Brett Rippon. We talked about McNichols coming out of the backfield. He makes a one-handed grab. And that ball's just not where you want it to go, Roy. I mean, he throws into double coverage, but he was on the short side of the field.
Rippon, the first team preseason all-conference performer, heads to the bench. And a big stop for Utah State early, as the Aggies come in as decided underdogs, fresh off a 7-point loss to Air Force. Rodriguez back to receive this whale punt. And from the 12 works his way to the 24. Flag on the field after a punt of 49 yards. Now Utah State, no stranger to the penalty flag and to instant replays from last weekend in a controversial setback to Air Force. More on that as we go through, but for Matt Wells and this program making this quick trip up to Idaho, something that they've tried to forget this week. We had some great conversations with Coach Wells even just a few minutes ago down on the field. He's very excited about this opportunity tonight.
For an illegal block in the back. The contact in question was legal. It's first down, Utah State.
Yeah, take a look. Oh, yeah, almost a block in the back up top, but that's what I think they're talking about. You never know, could be away from the ball as well.
Good job to pick up the laundry. Our first look now at Kit Myers, a junior quarterback from Texas. Threw for over 350 yards last week in that loss to Air Force. And joining the backfield by Tony Lindsay. Odd man front for Boise State. Myers pump fakes and delivers a strike to Rashad Lewis. Brought down by Ben Weaver. Lewis, the son of former Baltimore Raven linebacker Ray Lewis.
Interesting, they come out throwing the ball. They threw the ball a lot a week ago. Kent Myers, 360 yards against Air Force. Air Force plays a lot of cover one and expects teams to throw the ball. Boise State's going to be a big challenge for him tonight.
Watch the line of scrimmage, some misdirection, the screen pass, and it goes nowhere. Sam McCaskill brings him down behind the line.
Well, Sam McCaskill's been one of the leaders of the team. He's a captain coming in, watching from the defensive end position, getting down the line of scrimmage, and then just flushes out the ball carrier, Lindsey. That's just a great play by Mr. McCaskill.
It's a former defensive tackle making that play in space.
Yeah, 50-year senior out of Eugene, Oregon. Got away from the Ducks.
Gerald Bright checks in the contest for the first time in the backfield. Third down and a big hit. Well short of first down yardage. Leighton Vander Esch with the stop. And the punt team, after a 3-and-out, comes on the field for the Aggies.
Well, Roy, we watched some film yesterday, and there's one guy that just jumps off the screen, Leighton Vander Esch. He's a one big glass of water, 6'4", 240-pound redshirt sophomore. Here's what I like about Boise State's program. They play a ton of guys, so we got to look at the whole roster.
Aaron Dalton turns it over beautifully. And the fair catch at the 22 after a punt of 50 yards. Second possession of the night for Boise State, the undefeated Broncos, here inside of Albertson Stadium. Back in the city of trees, Boise, Idaho. Great to have you on board tonight. Just underway, start of our first quarter. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, Alex Cordry. Scoreless ball game, and the Broncos coming out for their second possession, celebrating the 30-year anniversary of the blue turf. And last season, the Broncos have been talking about it this week, revenge on their mind. 7 turnovers down in Logan, blown out, and what Matt Wells called the biggest win in the history of Utah State football.
Yeah, and I think most importantly, those 7 turnovers in the first half led to 35 points for Utah State. That was a landslide.
Killian Butler on the end around. The faster players for the Broncos shoved out of bounds. And a gain of 6 yards. The stop by Devin Centers, the starting free safety.
Yeah, take a look. You know, they always run some trick plays, misdirection. You got to like that they, early on, Killian Butler taking a little toss sweep, I'll call that. Not quite a reverse.
The clever play calling of Brian Harsin. I ran that word past him yesterday. That's what it is when you watch these guys on film. There's trick plays. They feel like gadgets at times. But it also feels like a normal part of their offense. Deep handoff. McNichols tripped up, and a short pickup will bring up third down. The hit by Anthony Williams. He's coming off a career-high 11 stops last week.
Yeah, he had a spectacular game last week against Air Force. But, Roy, what causes defensive coordinators problems against Boise State, it's the personnel groups that Boise State continually brings in on the season. 47% on third down, 4th in the Mountain West. But they're knocking on the door to get the 50%.
Four-man front for the Aggies. Rip and flush. Not really known for his legs, and short of the first down, the Utah State defense holds once again. Williams again with the big hit. And the punt team set to take back to the field here for the Broncos, Tom.
That's a good defensive stand again by Utah State. And Brett Rippon knew he was going to have to run some tonight. He really got blindsided a year ago playing at Utah State. And again, Utah State had a couple great linebackers that went on to the NFL. And between the two linebackers, Kyler Fackrell and Nick Vigil, they made 25 total tackles against the Broncos.
Serious firepower on display last season for the Aggies defense. A whale punt fielded by Rodriguez. And dances his way across the 35, stacked up there after a return of 8 yards. 41-yard punt, the second possession of the night. Coming up next for Utah State here in Boise.
is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And in part by Macy's.
Well, it's family weekend here at Boise State. Parent and Family Fest. Families sharing the Broncos spirit with their students. Even an appearance by Buster Bronco. Great vibe here in the City of Trees. First quarter continues. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott. And for the first time tonight, we check in with Alex Cordry. Alex.
Hey there, Roy and Tom. Well, Utah State is without one of their best players tonight. Running back Devontae Mays, the senior, is sidelined with an undisclosed knee injury. So that means the Aggies will be turning to quarterback Kent Myers to shoulder a lot of the load. Guys, last week they only had 42 rushing yards. So Coach Matt Wells told us it's a tall order in Boise State, but they got to get the running game more effective, guys.
Tom, that's a big loss. Mays by far and away their top ground gainer coming into this game.
Yeah, it really is a tough blow to their offense, but they do have to establish some run game tonight against the Broncos.
Lindsey in motion, the backup tight end, the handoff to Lindsey, and rumbles his way across the 40. It's a gain of 5 yards on first down.
And Boise State's rush defense, Roy, they've only been giving up 72 yards. Now, of course, they played Washington State that had 40 total rush yards, but they gave up over 400 passing yards. So sometimes the numbers can get a little squirrely.
Second and a long 5. Myers flush. Prances out of bounds. He's going to lose yardage. That was Darren Lee. Now, the strip sack touchdown last week in the road win at Oregon State. May not be the fastest linebacker on this roster, but he can make some plays. Loss of 5.
Yeah, Kent Myers, look at their sack attack on Boise State's defense, leading FBS. And David Moe, a big part of that. Also, Jabril Frazier, number 8. Watch for him tonight coming off the edge.
And there's pressure, a stunt, and a pass incomplete, looking for Rashad Lewis, nowhere close. And for the second straight possession, Utah State 3 and out. And Tom, we should also point out Boise State's without one of their top playmakers defensively. Tanner Vallejo is out of this one, and that's a developing story.
Yeah, arguably the best player on the defensive side of the ball for Boise State. They're missing him, but Blake Whitlock gets the start tonight at that Sam linebacker position.
Dalton again, booms one. Killian Butler backs up. And a nice move, lassoed out of bounds after a punt of 51 yards. 8:01 remaining in a fast-moving first quarter. We are scoreless. This Mountain Division clash between two rivals. And this college football season, make sure you stream every game live on the ESPN app and on Watch ESPN. Download the app or visit watchespn.com tonight. The fall foliage here in Boise. The locals indicating that really yesterday, the last true day of summer. Beautiful Chamber of Commerce evening in the state capitol. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, Alex Cordry, great to have you on board. It's been a punting competition so far tonight, as McNichols off tackle for a gain of 2. Travis Seafelt the hit, number 70 in gray. He's got an interesting story, surviving a devastating car wreck nearly 2 years ago, now a 6-year of eligibility. He has been a force for Utah State this season.
Yeah, and a real motivational story as well for the entire team.
Hey, what, Tom, here in the early going, these two teams trying to feel each other out. Anthony Williams brings down McNichols, maybe in search of that first big punch on offense. We haven't seen it just yet.
Yeah, like a couple boxers kind of jabbing, jab, the star of the game so far. Utah State's punter, I think Aaron Dalton's had the, if there was an award for, doing something really good without a lot of fanfare.
Pass in traffic caught. Spurbeck. That's good enough for the first down. Needed 5, gained 7. The stop by Gray.
But the remarkable thing about the Mountain West Conference, it might be boring for maybe 10 seconds, and then it's a lot of offense, and you see the ball come out awfully quick that time. Brett Rippett getting the ball down the field for the first down.
Broncos averaging over 500 yards per game this season. Play action now for Rippon. Sensing the pressure, and there he goes. A smart decision. And into the field he dives across the 40. Gain of 6 yards. Wesley Bailey in the area.
And Roy, that was great. That was a great escape that time by Rippon. And he got away from Travis Seafeld, who came loose. That's a nice pickup on first down.
Alec Danes in the game at tight end, 87 in blue. Here's Cedric Wilson, and this is a pass. And wide open is McNichols. Some trickeration to start tonight in Boise. Touchdown. "61 yards, just like that. The Broncos on the scoreboard first."
Well, Cedric Wilson, you guessed it, he was a quarterback in high school. And we saw this play. We actually saw it yesterday in practice. Didn't want to let anyone out there at TV land know what we saw, but Cedric Wilson can throw it as good as really good. That's a tight spiral.
That's Ramsey-esque right there.
A little bit behind McNichols, but all of a sudden you could see the way Cedric Wilson, when the ball goes one way, the pursuit and all the Utah State hats go one way, and they get the ball the outside to McNichols for the touchdown.
Ross's extra point is up. It is good. Our new score, 5:56 remaining in the first quarter. A little razzle-dazzle here inside Albertson Stadium, and the Broncos strike first. Now the impact of Cedric Wilson being felt here in Boise early in this one. 7-0, the Broncos with the advantage. An 81-yard drive. A little trickeration. Wilson, former high school quarterback. Tom, his father, played in the NFL, won a Super Bowl with the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 2005. So the bloodlines are certainly there. He passes the eye test, doesn't he?
He really does. 6'3", 195-pound guy. And, you know, talking to Zach Hill before the game, Roy, he's going to have a big night tonight. They're going to try and get him the ball down the field as well.
Ross's kick fielded at the 8, and nowhere to run. The Aggies with poor field position for their third possession of the night. And here's the touchdown one more time.
Yeah, and okay. Go ahead and let it roll. Watch down here. The ball is going to go all the way down. And what a great throw that time by Cedric Wilson to Jeremy McNichols. And McNichols just kind of hid, and he kind of slipped out of the backfield. He was lined up right outside the tight end.
Great hands for McNichols. We knew that coming in, but was wide open on that occasion. And going nowhere on first down. Durant Miles with a hit of Kent Myers. And Tom, we think that Myers is going to have to be a factor in the run game tonight.
Yeah, someone's going to have to be. And with Devontae Mays out, he's a big part of that run game. But last week against Air Force, Kent Myers really had their two most effective runs. He kind of ran inside zone, and you pick up an extra blocker with the running back.
Four-man front for the Broncos. A play action. Wyatt Houston, the tight end, rumbles his way forward for first down. Houston, the third leading wide receiver for Utah State coming in. That's a big pitch and catch.
Yeah, Wyatt Houston's a good-looking athlete. You know what's interesting about Kent Myers, Roy? We were talking. Matt Wells was talking to us and said, you know, we tried to redshirt Kent Myers twice, but he had to play because there were so many injuries sustained at that quarterback position, and primarily to cut Chucky Keaton.
He showed up yesterday looking for Chucky Keaton. Was a little surprised he wasn't still playing. Quick toss and a strike is fired to Rodriguez. Quality pickup on first down with Moxie in coverage.
Well, Chucky Keaton, I worked some games of his over the last couple of falls. I think he was a sixth year. He got an extra year of eligibility from the NCAA. And don't look far because he's a GA up at Oregon State, working for Gary Anderson.
And not surprising to think that he could be a coach somewhere big time one day.
Yeah.
Lawan Hunt in the contest. That's 21 engraved for the Aggies. And the end around. First down yardage crossing the 45, stacked up and driven backwards. A late flag comes on the field. Vander Esch with the initial contact. A gain of 6 yards put on hold as we await the official word from our veteran officiating crew.
During the run, personal foul, hands to the face, defense. Number 3, 15-yard penalty enforced from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
A costly penalty. Chancellor James the guilty party. That was Colston Green. What amounted to an end-around play for the Aggies.
Yep, James, a strong safety, and he's responsible for containment. See him, number 3. He's trying to get the blocker off him, and he just put his hand up into the grill of the offensive lineman, and that out comes the flag.
And a stoppage in play after the first down. First time tonight the Aggies have been in plus territory.
Penalty, it's first down.
Rodriguez will back him up 5 yards. Matt Wells, just like Brian Harsin, will call the majority of these plays tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities with Matt Wells and Brian Harsin. They know each other well outside of football. They've become friends, and Matt Wells, of course, a 4th-year head coach, Utah State. Been to some bowl games and has done well, but he's lost a lot of coordinators.
Now 4 straight years having to replace coordinators straight ahead for a short pickup. He told us this week it was almost hard to believe. Darren Lee with the hit. Losing 6 coaches from last year's staff, and the other 3 also received offers for more money and elected to stay.
It's a blessing and a curse, Roy, because he's lost some really good coaches. Todd Orlando, the defensive coordinator, he's down at Houston. Kevin Clune, the other defensive coordinator, over at Oregon State. And I'll tell you what, the other ones went in a moment.
On second down, Myers, a swing pass. Lindsey out of bounds. And a gain of 2 yards. Sam McCaskill prevented the big gain.
Great defensive recognition that time of formation and then running to the football. And one of the things Boise State has done and really made an impact this offseason was getting more physical. And you see at the line of scrimmage, they're just powerful and they're getting by blockers.
Aggies hope for 2 on third down tonight. And here comes the crowd. Myers heaves it deep, looking for Tarver, who catches it but out of bounds. Tyler Horton in coverage. And our first time tonight mentioning Ronquavian Tarver had a huge performance last week in the loss against Air Force. Too deep on the pass, however, Tom.
Yeah, last week Tarver 9 catches, 143 yards against Air Force, had a nice long touchdown, and that's a great catch. That kind of Willie Mays-ish, kind of over the shoulder, backside, but out of bounds. Bring out Aaron Dalton again.
Dalton averaging over 50 yards per punt tonight. Looking for his pitching wedge here, and he'll get it as the fair catch made at the 6 after a 36-yard punt. So the Broncos with poor field position, and now an opportunity for the Aggies defense to see how aggressive they want to be. And they've got a veteran front 7. They need to force the issue here.
Aaron Dalton's done a nice job, Roy. He has ended up swinging the field a couple times, and Boise State on their last series, of course, they ran the trick play. Cedric Wilson throwing the ball to Jeremy McNichols down the field. But, you know, when you have a punter that can pin the other team down, make them go the distance, that's a great asset.
Hidden yardage at times.
Yeah.
You won't see in the box score. A great time of year. What a wild day it's been today. Tennessee with the Hail Mary come from behind win at Georgia. You think back to the slobber knocker there between Wisconsin and Michigan. Impressive win last night. The Washington Huskies. And a handoff crossing the 5-yard line. A short pickup bringing up 2nd and long. McNichols has been held in check for the most part on the ground so far. And obviously the big reception moments ago.
Tell you what, the Utah State defensive line is stacking up the offensive line of Boise State. They're playing tough inside, and then the inside linebackers, Anthony Williams and Alex Huerta, 2 of the top tackles on the team, they're filling the gap.
On 2nd down, a shovel pass, and McNichols stacked up. He'll lose a yard. It'll bring up 3rd and long. Speaking of Huerta, there he is with a nice play, 12 in gray.
And the other player they're missing, Dallin Levitt, the strong safety, he's out tonight. And John Trell Rockamore is in, but you see Huerta right there finishing the tackle.
Broncos 2 of 4 on 3rd down tonight. They'll get 5 free yards after the penalty for encroachment.
Well, the referees are talking about it. They may decide the penalty might be on Rippon.
Offside. Defense. Number 98. Contact in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. It's 3rd down.
Unga made he made contact there, but Rippon gave such an emphatic hut that it drew him off. And sometimes you can't, as a quarterback, you can't bob any part of your shoulders or head trying to draw the defensive line off sides.
3rd down and a much more manageable 4. Rippon incomplete. Looking for Sean Monster, and Mobster unable to come up with it. Make that Ogabor the intended receiver, and the punt team back on the field for the Broncos. So Utah State hanging around and doing what it needs to do here early.
Well, again, the nice punt by Dalton pins Boise State down deep inside their own 10, and then they just make it tough on Rippon because they're playing a little combination defense, and then I think the defensive line of Utah State has really stepped up, and they're coming to play tonight.
Sean Well, the Mountain West Conference Specialist of the Week, with a floater that's fair caught inside the 45 after a 44-yard punt. Well, make sure you kick off your Week 4 NFL Sunday with us right here on ESPN at 10 a.m. Eastern. NFL Insiders Sunday edition. All the injury news and early breaking stories. Then at 11, it's the new Sunday Night NFL Countdown crew. Chris Berman, Trent Dilfer, Charles Woodson, Hasselback, and Randy Moss will take you right up to kickoff. Both shows, of course, streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. Now, hard to believe we're already in October, both in the National Football League and, of course, here in the collegiate game. Almost a fourth of the way through the season here tonight. Myers, play action. Lewis, the reception. And into Boise State territory after a gain of 7 yards.
Again, Utah State gets the ball out so quick. Kent Myers, it's really kind of a catch and throw numbers tonight. 8 of 10, 44 yards. Not a lot of yards, but effective yards thus far.
Aggies 2-8 all time here at this venue. Myers on the run, fires his strike. That's Andrew Rodriguez. And that's good enough for the first down.
That's what they like about Kent Myers. He can throw on the run, and when you can move the launch point, you know, it's hard to hit the moving target, right? Those athletic Boise State defensive linemen, you don't want them to pin their ears back and find a launch spot right behind the tackles. You got to keep moving Kent Myers all night long.
Time winding down in the first. Myers wants it all, heaves it deep, looking for Lewis, who cannot come up with it. Collision late, no flag. Tyler Horton in coverage. Well, we've called his name a lot tonight. He's been impressive in the early part of this season. Was recruited by Utah State too, Tom.
Yeah, be careful going Tyler Horton's way, because if he gets an interception, as he did against one of the best quarterbacks in the country against Washington State, he took it to the house. He went 85 yards with it. So he's scary when you throw it that far across the field.
On second down, Tarver makes his first grab and lassoed down to the turf by Tyler Horton on what will be the final play of the first quarter.
The first quarter.
Now, Utah State, the only team in the group of 5 to beat a top 25 team in each of the last 4 years. Try to do it again tonight. Boise State with other intentions. And the Broncos and Jeremy McNichols out in front early. Well, 36,000 strong here in Boise. Start of the second quarter. Broncos undefeated, ranked number 24 in the country. Lead Utah State by a touchdown. Tom Ramsey, Alex Cordry, Roy Philpott. It's great to have you on board tonight. And an important third down coming up for the Aggies in plus territory. Myers with a pocket. Pass caught short of the first down. That's Rodriguez. Darren Lee the hit. And now fourth down coming up. And an interesting decision here for Matt Wells.
Yeah, they're going to bring the heavy package. Travis Seafelt comes in. Ordinarily, he's a nose tackle. He comes in as a blocker. A few other big uns.
High formation, Lindsey with the handoff. And he'll have the first down. Needed 1, gained 2, and an important pickup there for Utah State, Tom.
I think that's a great play call by Matt Wells, the head coach of Utah State, because what he did the play before, he brought in a personnel group and brought a tight end over to block Frazier, the defensive end, and then came up short, but they got the correct personnel group on the field to play immediately to go for the fourth down. There was no hesitation, and Utah State has the first down.
Thought about the reverse. Myers. And sandwiched between 2 Boise State defenders. He'll gain a yard. He got drilled a couple of times pretty hard last week in that loss to Air Force.
Yeah, and that's that same inside zone run. That's a prescribed run inside. You know, a lot of quarterbacks don't run that inside zone, but Kent Myers, pretty stout guy out of Texas, 6 foot, 200-pounder.
12-6 as a starter at Utah State. 2nd and 9. The pump fake. Lewis. And sent out of bounds at the 26. A late flag. Ben Weaver with the tackle. And this could be a personal foul against Boise State.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense. Number 96. Low hit on the quarterback. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Elliott Hoyt, the guilty party, Tom. That's a big one.
Yeah, especially from a senior. Hoyt really there, takes a shot at Kent Myers. It's really uncalled for. Ball was out. The roughing now is going to move the ball inside the 15. See, the ball comes out, and then he goes low. I don't know. I don't think that was intentional. I think Hoyt got actually blocked into Kent Myers.
Now they are in the business of protecting quarterbacks these days. From the 13. And Lindsey dances his way for a gain of 2 with Lee bringing him down. Well, an important drive for Utah State. The Aggies shocked Boise State last year in Logan, forcing 8 turnovers. Elliott Hoyt said this week it was a sickening feeling just having to watch the film to get ready for this game, knowing what happened last year.
Yeah, as much as you want to put that in the trash can, you still have to look at it. That's the unfortunate thing about film. It doesn't go away.
Hunt checks in at running back. Myers. The pass is batted down. David Moa, the Moa constrictor, they call him in these parts, Tom. He's been everywhere the early part of this season.
What hasn't he done? I mean, he ran out. He brought out the hammer tonight out of the locker room. Usually goes to a special teams player, but Moa, gets his hand up. Just a great play by a nose tackle. He's awfully active, and he's really been having a spectacular year. He's been all over the place. Comes in leading the team in sacks as well.
3rd down. Myers, end zone, and batted around. It's picked off. Now they rule it incomplete. Moxie bobbled the football.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. It's 4th down.
The senior from West Palm Beach, Florida, nearly had himself an interception.
Yep, Jonathan Moxie, an awfully good player. He got his hand in there first, and then he he almost came down with it. He just didn't look it in. Oh. Boy, 3 guys had a shot at it. Darren Lee right there as well. Cameron Hartsfield. Bring out Utah State's kicker, Brock Warren.
28-yard attempt from the left dash on the way, and it's good. An important drive for Utah State. The Aggies on the board. Just underway here in our second quarter in Boise. Back in Boise, 7-3 our score. The undefeated and 24th ranked Broncos, 4 points in front of Utah State. Beautiful night for college football and a wild weekend so far. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, and Alex Cordry here with you. So after the 45-yard drive by the Aggies in 12 plays, coming off a loss at home to Air Force, important for Utah State to come in here and certainly be competitive early to get that confidence going against a very powerful Boise State club. Here's Wilson. Flag on the field. Spins his way across the 30 as we will check the penalty.
Personal foul, illegal block below the waist. Receiving team, number 84, half the distance to the goal from the spot of the foul. It's first down, Boise State.
Jake Knight, the guilty party. And we'll check in for the first time this evening with Chris Cotter back in the studio. Chris.
Okay, Roy, Tom, time for the Scott Trade takeaway moment. We go to Death Valley, and after a Louisville takeaway, Lamar Jackson hits James Quick here over the middle. Getting the Cardinals back in it, and then Jackson, who's really starting to warm up here in the third quarter, keeps it himself on the zone read. 16 unanswered for Louisville, down just 2 over on ABC.
Oh, an 18-point deficit trimmed to 2, fourth quarter in Death Valley. That's a good one. We've got a good one here in Boise as well. Just underway in our second quarter. Deep handoff, and McNichols crashes across the 15 for a pickup of 2 yards. Ali Fua with the hit for Utah State.
Yeah, and I think, you know, to go into a tough environment, and there's a lot of tough environments in college football. Clemson may be one of the toughest.
18-game home winning streak right now, Tommy.
Yeah.
Aggies show pressure. And here's Rippon. Dangerous throw, and it's incomplete. Boy, it was nearly picked off by Jalen Davis. And Chaz Anderson could have had a big play if he could have held on to the football, Tom.
Well, and they're getting Brett Rippon off his spot, Roy. He doesn't, he's moving his feet a little bit, but they're bringing great pressure in. You could see he had to move just a little bit. You said it, Jalen Davis broke on the ball, and it really got in the way of Chaz Anderson. He just flat out dropped it.
Davis had a big pick last year in the upset win against Boise State in Logan. Broncos 2 of 5 on third down tonight. Pitch and catch and a first down. Cedric Wilson makes the grab, threw a touchdown pass in the first quarter, and the drive continues.
Yeah, that's a nice first down right there. And I was going to say, this is an important drive for Boise State to get a little more continuity, get some confidence in the offense. And, you know, they really haven't done much outside of the trick play where Cedric Wilson threw the ball down the field to Jeremy McNichols for the touchdown.
Rippon with time. Floats it downfield, incomplete, looking for the flag. Daniel Gray was in coverage of Thomas Spurbeck. And the crowd loves it.
Most times that's a face guard. I'm surprised the flag didn't come out. Daniel Gray, I don't think got his head around. You see, he's kind of juking, but that's really a penalty and should be on Daniel Gray. Somehow Spurbeck saying, where's the flag? That's a miss.
That was a controversial loss last week against Air Force. Maybe football gods smiling down on Utah State. I would agree. Screen to McNichols. He'll cross the 25. It'll bring up 3rd down and long. I mean, there were several instant replay reviews last week in that 7-point setback to Air Force, which were very much debatable, including back-to-back plays on what appeared to be a touchdown in the corner of the end zone. Then on 4th down, a conversion deep in Air Force territory. Neither one was allowed to count, so Utah State ended up going on to lose that game. 3rd and 9. Rippon with time. At the sticks is Anderson. Bray with the tackle, and it depends on the spot.
Oh, the referee gave him a generous spot. Really generous spot. You know, Roy, sometimes, I hate to say this, sometimes there's those makeup calls, you know, when they miss the pass interference play, and then, well, that sort of, kind of, what? Yeah, it's a 1st down.
Quick snap, Rippon out of bounds after a gain of 1. Well, that's a crafty play just to snap the football as quickly as they did in that sequence.
Yeah, they didn't wait around. They got the ball up right away. No hesitation, no review of the play.
And Brett Rippon goes to the sidelines. The Wildcat with Spurbeck. This guy could do it all as well, just like Wilson. An option play. Spurbeck dives ahead. Gain of 2 yards. Aliafua. Make it 3rd and long.
And they put that play on film last week against Oregon State. Spurbeck picked up about 8 yards a week ago. That time, Utah State having recognized it and was looking for it. Rippon back in the game.
7-3, under 10 to play in the first half.
Boise State 3 of 6 on 3rd down tonight.
The Aggies standing up their front 4. Here comes the pressure, the dump off. McNichols bottled up, driven backwards. Jalen Davis, outstanding in coverage and also sound with a fundamental hit. And the punt team back on the field for Boise State.
Justice Tae, number 51 there as well. It's just great pursuit to the ball. They have had it dialed in tonight. Kendrick Shaver, the defensive coordinator, said, you know, they got to get a good look at their formations. They got to get the right personnel groups on the field. They've been able to match Boise State really well on 3rd down tonight.
See the numbers on Whale. He's been impressive. California native, heavy pressure, but gets it away. And Rodriguez with a fair catch at the 18 after a punt of 45 yards. Well, the Aggies get the offense back on the field. Brian Harsin searching for answers, but his team leads it 7-3.
College football brought to you by Heineken. Open your world. Enjoy responsibly.
And another part of family weekend back in Boise. Stargazing and s'mores. 7-3 our score, almost halfway through the 2nd quarter. The Boise State Observatory with the physics and astronomy clubs. Lots of marshmallows, Tom Ramsey. A big marshmallow guy?
No.
I'm not really either. The
No.
texture doesn't do it for me. That's just me.
No. You know what I like.
I do. 1st down for Utah State. The Aggies would like some more offense. Alex Cordry down on the field will join us once again in a few minutes. Some misdirection, the handoff. And Lindsey across the 20. Up to the 23-yard line.
Boy, Lindsey's quick. He's quick. He makes the first guy miss. And that puts a lot of pressure on a defense. And so far we've seen great defense on both sides.
Flag comes down. Lindsey shoved out of bounds. A short pickup. Tommy, this one's coming back with holding.
Yeah, where they threw the flag, it looked like the end man on the line of scrimmage hooked the defensive end.
Brandon Cruz with the call.
Offense, number 65. 10-yard penalty. It's 2nd down.
Austin Albrecht, the left tackle, watch him reach out. And anytime you get that left arm around, well, you got a big handful of jersey. That was the problem. Flag came out right away. And Albrecht, one of the leaders of that offensive line, the senior out of Sandy, Utah.
Crowd back in it. Both of these teams trying to feel each other out offensively. Aggies facing a 2nd and 14. On the rollout. They'll get some of that penalty yardage back. Reception made by Braylon Roberts, junior out of Dallas, Texas.
Well, and before this last drive, Roy, Utah State's only had 70 yards total offense, and they're 0 for 5 on 3rd down. Right there, they gained half of it. Well, less than half. It's, what, 3rd and 7. And they've been 0 for tonight.
Watch the pressure, top of your screen. Here comes the overload. Aggies block it. And the ball's caught at the 30. That's good enough to move the chains. Wyatt Houston, 2nd catch of the night and his 2nd grab for a 1st down, Tom.
And emphatically with the 1st down. That's the first one tonight coming off 3rd down.
Yeah, these two teams don't like each other a lot. Tunnel screen, Lewis. And a quality pickup of 9 yards.
You know why they don't like each other? Because they know each other so well. That's why. They know each other well. They recruit the same athletes. They go after them. The coaches know each other. I was out at pregame, and all the coaches are saying, nice things to each other. And I'm like, oh, you just wait till kickoff.
It all goes out the window.
That's right.
Quick strike on the 3-step drop. And too much mustard on that pass. It'll be 3rd and 1. When Myers can spin it, we saw it last week against Air Force, over 350 yards through the air. Was hurried with that delivery.
Yeah, and Boise State, here's the challenge, Roy. Boise State plays with their eyes so well. They coach it. Andy Avalos, the defensive coordinator, hey, you know what? Be consistent, but have great eye control.
Trips to the top of the screen. That one goes nowhere. He'll lose yardage, and Boise State's front 4 will force another punt.
That's a great job by that Boise front 7, reading and reacting. Reading and reacting. And they are going to punt, but you just see the defensive line just dominates right there. Martirano, number 7, he's finally in the game. McCaskill right there. Number 94, the defensive end. That's big, but hey, listen, 4th and short. Don't discount a fake punt either.
Matt Wells thought about going for it. Dalton hammers another beauty out of bounds. And it'll be 1st and 10 for the Broncos. They lead Utah State 7-3 when we come back. Back in Boise, 2nd quarter continues, under 6 minutes to go, 7-3. The undefeated Broncos in front of Utah State. Taco Bell's a proud partner of the college football playoff this season. Be on the lookout for the Taco Bell student sections and passionate fans like these at games all season long. And supporting breast cancer awareness tonight, Boise State football program, a tip of the cap in their direction. And after a 30-yard punt, it's 1st and 10 for Brett Rippon. Rippon just 38 yards through the air so far. Late flag on the field as he slides for a gain of 2. Utah State's defense has been one of these stories so far tonight, Tom, and almost in a surprising way.
Yeah, they've been playing really good, disciplined.
While the quarterback was in the pocket, holding, defense, number 8, 10-yard penalty enforced from the end of the play, results in a 1st down.
It's the backup corner, Wesley Bailey.
Well, you know what Matt Wells is saying? He said, hey, listen, Rippon became a runner, and he can use his hands. Or he's saying, don't hold the receiver. Right?
I think that's what he just told him.
Yeah. Just don't get caught.
Wells in his 4th season, a former Utah State quarterback. Became good friends with Brian Harsin when they were both tight end coaches. Wives and family remain good friends to this day. Handoff. McNichols, a little stutter step into Utah State territory on his longest run of the night. And Jeremy McNichols starting to get things going after a gain of 15.
Yeah, great blocking at the point of attack at the end of the line of scrimmage. You see the tackle comes down. They bring the big left guard around Travis Averill, and McNichols just sets up the block. He's patient, and then he blasts through the hole ahead for the first down.
First play in plus territory. Richardson in motion. Two tight end formation. McNichols spins around. He'll lose a yard. Taufa with the initial contact.
McNichols brought down by Williams.
Send you back to the studio, Chris Cotter.
Well, you can only contain Lamar Jackson for so long. After Clemson's 5th turnover of the night, Jackson takes it around the right side and scores. Now 26 unanswered for the Cardinals over on ABC. They take the lead.
Louisville back in front. How about that? Second and long here for the Broncos. Well, Lamar Jackson, you can only contain him on the ground, especially for so long. Long developing play for McNichols. He'll pick up 3 yards. Derek Larson, outside linebacker, with a tackle.
Yeah, if you had to write in a Heisman, ballot today, Lamar Jackson would probably be on everyone's ballot.
It would be Jackson and everybody else.
Yeah.
If they go into Death Valley and hold on there after destroying Florida State, that's a statement. 2 statements.
2 statements. And when you face off against Clemson there, yeah, that's and maybe the best quarterback in the country.
Empty backfield, 3rd and 8. Rippin, the slant, incomplete. Looking for Butler, couldn't corral it. Gray in coverage. Hey, don't forget our Week 4 Monday Night Football matchup will be an NFC battle between the undefeated Minnesota Vikings at the brand new venue, the new US Bank Stadium. New York Football Giants Eli Manning coming to town, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. Our coverage begins as always with Monday Night Countdown, served up by Applebee's, starting at 6 o'clock. Also streaming live, the ESPN app, and watch ESPN. And here's a fake. Ben Weaver, the linebacker, sends it to the tight end. Did he make the first down? Danens did not.
Ruling on the field is the runner was short of the line of game. Turnover on downs. First down.
Well, Rockamore able to get the job done there, Tom.
Boise State unafraid to call fakes as tradition goes, and Danens, you're right, gets pulled down. And again, it's that great defensive recognition. They were looking for a fake. Pretty impressed with Weaver, the linebacker, throwing lefty on the run, too.
On the run like it was his job.
Yeah.
Pass to Danez, comes up short. 1st and 10 now for Utah State, and a chance to close this first half strong. 5-man front for the Broncos. And a deep handoff. Lindsey brought down by Blake Whitlock, who replaced Vallejo in the starting lineup tonight. That's 36 in blue. The coaching staff here hoping that the light comes on for him, a junior out of Reno, Nevada. It's a big play there.
Well, they got a stable of linebackers, so he's just one more in that great group that they have on the current team.
After a loss of 2, passes batted down. McCaskill had his big Paul on at 94. He's been everywhere tonight.
Both defenses are making it so hard on the opposing offense, and again, McCaskill off the edge. They rushed 5 that time. But McCaskill that time with his hand up, knocking the pass away. Moa got one earlier. The senior pushes Utah State into another 3rd down, 3rd and 12.
Myers flushed, and down he goes. McCaskill once again makes the play.
And I think Myers was trying to get the ball to Ronquavian Tarver on the backside, and just nowhere for him to even step up into the pocket. The pocket just collapsed. Again, McCaskill off the edge, and that's why they're leading the country in sacks.
First charge, timeout. Boise State, timeout on the field.
Broncos more than 4 sacks per game coming into tonight. And they'll get the football back when we return. 2:33 remaining here in our first half. Boise State a 4-point lead.
Chris Cotter in studio. BMW halftime report coming your way in just a few moments. Jonathan Vilma, Butch Davis going to be in studio here with me. Got a lot of exciting games to talk about, including a big one going on right now over in Death Valley between Clemson and Louisville. No huddle rapid fire highlights in game balls. And Jonathan Vilma is giving his to a kicker. BMW halftime report coming up.
Chris, thank you very much. Over on ABC, that Clemson-Louisville game. Back to a 2-point margin. As Dalton gets the kick away, and it's fumbled. He muffed the punt back at the 25-yard line. Let's see who came out of there with it. It's a 41-yard punt, and this is a very big call early in this one. And Utah State's got it. Boy, Butler just had it slip right through his fingertips.
And Gerald Knight, number 25, with the recovery, and that is a huge mistake by Butler. Ball squirts away. Utah State right on top of it, and man, that is a huge momentum shift for Utah State.
First turnover for either side tonight. Utah State forced 7 first-half turnovers last year in the upset win down in Logan. And let's see if the Boise State defense can rise to the occasion.
Boy, just a moment ago we saw Brian Harsin on the sideline. He was hot. Matt Wells right there. 9 forced turnover in the last 2 games against Boise State. Remember, they had 7 in the first half a year ago.
Butler get a talking to by his teammates, and now they're going to take another look at that last sequence.
Yeah, I think they'll see exactly what our cameras provided, which was a great look at Utah State recovering the muffed punt.
Well, it's got to be indisputable video evidence to overturn any call in the field when it goes to instant replay. Jeff Hansen, our replay official tonight, also with the Mountain West Conference. Utah State's got to be thinking, here we go again after what happened last week.
And the guy who makes the play is Anthony Williams, number 16. He sees Butler muff the ball, and then he just drills him. And then Gerald Bright was right there behind him to fall on the ball. It's a great look. That's like, whoop, look out. But right there when the big linebacker who's down on punt coverage, Anthony Williams, had a spectacular game last week against Air Force. Comes in as a number 1 tackler for Utah State.
This will be Aggies football here.
Yeah. Yep. And then it was a scrum.
Oh, Gerald Bright, the wide receiver, running back, also on special teams, was a high school quarterback running the wing T. So he's got good hands. He needed it right there.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. First down, Utah State.
Call confirmed. Replay saw the same thing that we did, and for Butler, he'll look for redemption later tonight.
Utah State in the red zone earlier tonight, coming away with only a field goal. Take a look at that. They can put points up quickly.
2:33 left. 3 timeouts to work with for Utah State from the 25. And movement looked like on the left side of the line. That'll back them up 5 yards.
False start. Offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
Jude Hockel. And make sure you kick off your Week 4 NFL Sunday with us right here on ESPN, 10 a.m. Eastern. NFL Insiders Sunday edition. Then at 11, the new Sunday NFL Countdown. Both shows also streaming live on the ESPN app. And watch ESPN. Myers will fake the handoff. Right side. He'll dive for about 3 with a hit by Hoyt. What has turned out to be a defensive slugfest. We were kind of expecting a Wild West shootout here in Boise.
We were, but Utah State's been true to themselves. They have to establish some run game. It's just They want to go forward, not backwards.
Broncos 6th in the country in run defense. Crossing pattern caught, and Roberts has a first down. Braylon Roberts, his second grab of the night, a gain of 14, finally brought down by Whitlock.
Roberts, another good-looking athlete, 6'3", 205 out of Dallas. And you know what beats defenses? The crossers. You gotta love them. I love the crossing routes. They're usually a man beater right there. He did a nice job settling down in the zone.
Fake the handoff to Bright Myers. Navigates his way towards the 10. A short pickup brought down by Cameron Hartsfield.
Boy, you know, Myers is doing a great job. He kind of looks like a tailback right here. Watch him hunkering in behind Houston, the tight end. I mean, that's good running. But then again, Blake Whitlock there stepping up, making the tackle.
Keep an eye on 83, the tight end, Wyatt Houston. Handed the dirt bottom of the screen. Looking his direction, they'll fire it short. And Lindsey lassoed by Weaver. Third down.
Boy, nice play by Weaver that time. He's an experienced linebacker, and it shows. Take a look at that. Boise State, one of the few teams this year that haven't trailed at any point during the game.
Only the Broncos and the Miami Hurricanes can claim that statistic.
So they got stymied on the last third down in the red zone. Timeout, Utah State.
Aggies with 2 remaining, 28 seconds left, 3rd and 5.
Well, and Roy, you got to ask yourself a question. They're going to dial up a good play here, and I would imagine that they'd try to not only get the first down, but try and get it into the end zone here because you have enough room, right? You have enough room to throw the ball. You have some additional room. But do you go for it? If you don't make it, do you line up? Do you either kick a field goal? Because if you decide to go for the field goal, you're still behind by 1. But, you know, these guys know each other well. They like to get after each other. I wouldn't. If Matt Wells doesn't get it on 3rd down, he may go for it on 4th. And I think Brian Harsin, the Boise State coach, knows that.
Well, the defense for the Aggies has played well enough to where I think that Wells would need to consider the field goal try. Rock Warren has been rock solid this year. 6 of 7, including 1 from 28 out earlier tonight.
And I always say points before halftime are of utmost importance. You really have to put points on the board, and even if it's a 7-6 game at half, then they probably think they're in the Big Ten. It's one of those slugfest games.
The punting competitions, I like to call it. Hey, this offensive era of football that we live in, you don't see a lot of those contests all that often. You know, 3rd down and 5, a big one coming up for the Aggies. A packed house here in Boise. One for 8 on 3rd down tonight. That's Lewis in motion. Myers steps up. And driven down by David Moa. The double nickel brings down the hammer.
Well, he carried the hammer out tonight, and he brought the hammer just now. And Matt Wells is furious. You got to protect the quarterback. Moa, one of the most active interior linemen in the country, fights through 3 guys. Just a great play that time by Moa.
5th sack of the season, leading this Boise State defense.
Second charge timeout. Utah State, 30-second timeout.
And just 1 second remaining. So the Aggies will have a chance to make this a 1-point ball game, and all things considered, that's probably a win here in the first 2 quarters, coming in as heavy underdogs.
Well, I don't want to go that far, but so far so good for Utah State. I think Matt Wells, you keep it close with Boise State. You don't let them run away. They've been a great first half team this year. Brett Rippon's been a great throwing quarterback in the first half of every game, and they've kind of let off the gas a little bit in the second halves, especially so last week against Oregon State, and that was okay because they were ahead, but boy, Utah State's going to give you 60 minutes of play.
32-yard attempt again from the left hash for Brock Warren, the senior from Hyde Park, Utah. Brian Harsin will make him think things over using one of his 2 remaining timeouts.
Second charge timeout. Boise State, 30-second timeout.
A little cat and mouse game being played. Great to have you with us tonight. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, Alex Cordry down on the sidelines. And a defensive slugfest so far. Not really what we expected. Entertaining nonetheless.
Very entertaining. It's not the Big Ten. We know that. Even though there's a lot of punts and a lot of defense so far. But, you know, remember, Utah State's a very explosive team. Boise State, they have had chances, but they've been frustrated tonight, Roy. And you can tell the defense has played well on both sides for each team. And I think right now it's, you know, they're better to put points on the board, go in 7-6, and retool at halftime and see the total yards for each team. No one's on top of it so much and has such an advantage that these little points don't mean the big difference at the end.
Well, a huge game for Utah State. Already 1 loss in conference. That coming last week to Air Force. The conference opener for Boise State tonight. And Warren hooked it. Sent it wide left, and a big stop for Brian Harsin's Broncos.
Well, credit that guy, Moa, as he runs off the field. He made the play right there.
One of the top defenses in the country. Boise State undefeated. Ranked 24 coming into tonight. And flexing its muscle here in the first 2 quarters on the blue turf. As we send you down to the sidelines, Alex, with Brian Harsin.
Coach, can you talk about the relentlessness of your defense that we've seen in the first half tonight?
Well, you saw them just finish it right there with field goal block. Those guys are doing a great job. It's been a defensive battle. They're executing well.
You told me coming into this game your offense just needed to play their game, but why have you had so much trouble in the first half?
Well, they're playing well on defense as well. Utah State is. We got to go out there and execute. Just settle down. Consistency is really the name of the game right now. We got to do that in the second half.
Thanks, Coach. Guys.
7-3 our halftime score as we send you now to the BMW halftime report. Chris Cotter, Butch Davis, and Jonathan Vilma, guys. ESPN College Football Primetime presented by Geico. Here in the Treasure Valley, Boise, Idaho, a Chamber of Commerce evening. 7-3 as we begin our second half. Number 24, Boise State, the 4-point advantage. Alex Cordry, Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, and Utah State will receive the football to begin this third quarter. Both teams passing for 105 yards in the first half. The defense is really setting the tone so far in this one, and Brian Harsin very pleased with his team's stand there at the end of the second quarter. And for Matt Wells, he's got to find a way to get that offense at least clicking on one cylinder. First and 10 for the Aggies at the 25. So everybody take a deep breath if you're just tuning in, watching over on ABC. A nail biter here on ESPN2. Boise State 7-3. You see the storylines. You got a wide receiver that's thrown for more yards than the starting quarterback.
Well, I was going to say 105 yards on each side throwing the ball, but who would have ever thought Cedric Wilson would have more passing yards than Brett Rippon? Not I. But Cedric Wilson had a real nice double pass over the heads of the Utah State defense to Jeremy McNichols for the score. And, you know, that was the first time they had actually gotten into plus territory, and they went right by it and scored.
How does Utah State muster some more offense here? Is it with Myers in the short passing game, or do they finally take a shot deep?
Well, they haven't found Tarver tonight, and they need to.
The option. They'll fake the pitch. There's Myers. Into Boise State territory and finally driven out of bounds by Chancellor James. And what a start for the Aggies, a gain of 45.
Well, and you know what? Brian Harsin told us about Kent Myers yesterday. He said what scares him is that Myers he has the ability to escape and extend plays, and he can run and pass right there. Great speed.
Lindsey in the backfield on first down and movement up front. And the false start will back him up 5.
Offense, number 73, 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
Well, and Roy, without Devontae Mays, the running back of Utah State, the leading rusher coming into tonight's game, Kent Myers, there's more to shoulder of this offense. I mean, he not only has to pass the ball effectively, he has to run it. I love the option look, though. That was one Matt Wells dialed up at halftime and said, hey, listen, get it to the edge. You're probably going to have to pitch it. He didn't.
Wells calls the plays for the Aggies. They'll roll the pocket. Pass incomplete. Rodriguez with a drop. James in the area in coverage.
Yeah, just a great play by Chancellor James laying out, and it really distracted the receiver. He just flat out dropped it. There's a look at Wells on the sideline calling him up. Take a look. Chancellor James knows his responsibility was the far flat, and he laid out and made the play. Great effort.
And Myers spins his way across the 45. Brought down by Weaver. There appeared to be some confusion in the backfield on what should have been a zone read play with no running back there.
Yeah, and where there was no confusion was on the edge with that Boise State defense. They held the edge well. Did a great job. There's a look at Devontae Mays.
Well, he was in pain on the turf last week in that loss to Air Force.
Yeah, when a player doesn't suit up for the game, yeah, it's probably hurt more than we all know.
Officially listed as day-to-day. On third down, Myers flushed and dropped behind the line. Jabril Frazier. Boy, a freak of an athlete, and he got to the quarterback that time, Tom.
Boy, Jabril Frazier. Here's the one that got away. He went to Bourbon Day in Los Angeles. UCLA, SC, plays right under their nose. Did they recruit him? No. Somehow Boise State gets Jabril Frazier, and he is a stud coming off the edge. And he's the second leading sack master behind David Moa, but between those two, man, they are bringing the heat.
A loss of 6. Dalton's been the MVP for Utah State tonight, the punter. And Butler this time corrals it at the 15 after a punt of just 26 yards. Well, I'm no Mel Kiper Jr., but Frazier has a big-time ceiling when you look at the measurables and then a play like that.
Yeah. We watched film on him. We saw him in person, and he's a guy, they say he passes the eyeball test. He sure does. And when he has great motor, Andy Avalos, the defensive coordinator, couldn't say enough good things about him. And they're keeping it simple on their defense too, right, Roy? They really haven't expanded that defensive strategy to where guys start to kind of freelance a little bit. And you can with a guy like Jabril Frazier. You can line him up at different places on the field.
Butler in motion. Handoff McNichols. And a physical run up to the 24-yard line. Bring up second down and short. Centers with the hit.
Well, and you said it. It's a physical run. They went in at halftime. Boise State said, what do we got to do? We got to get more physical at the line of scrimmage. We got to run the ball effectively. They didn't run the ball that well in the first half. They didn't throw the ball that well in the first half. They relied on a trick play to get themselves 7 points, and it's all about the adjustments made at halftime.
Naden's in motion. McNichols trying to get to the edge. First down Boise State and ushered out of bounds by Daniel Gray.
Daniel Gray's played well tonight. He's been involved in a lot of plays. Jalen Davis, the other corner, has been really well. Really good playing as well. And then Wes Bailey, the nickelback, has played well. So they've had 3 corners, and they're playing, of course, without Dallin Levitt, the safety that was injured in last week's game as well.
Ryan Harsin coming off a 9-4 season. Expectations much higher this year, as they always are, it seems like. And a 3-0 start for the offense clicking before tonight. Up to the 35-yard line is Devin Demas. Demas fumbled in the game last year against Utah State. And McNichols may have been banged up on that last carry as he was shoved out of bounds. Still being tended to on the sideline.
Yeah, he got hammered out of bounds. Devin Demas, the fifth-year senior out of Houston, stepping in.
Tommy fumbled last year in that loss to Utah State and really never played after that game. After that fumble. Get the call again and dives forward. Probably the fastest player on the Boise State roster, but just has yet to find that rhythm the last year and a half or so.
Well, and the other back we may see Alexander Madison, true freshman out of San Bernardino, California. Just looking at Alexander Madison at practice yesterday, I mean, wow, he's another specimen and just a young buck.
Nichols still on the sideline, still being tended to. On first down, Rippon with all kinds of time. And caught. Spurback got a hand on it, tapped it back to himself. Gray again in coverage. And the drive continues for the Broncos after a gain of 21.
Spurback knows Sports Center's coming up later after our game. Look at this. Just go ahead and reel it in one-handed.
First team all Mountain West Conference. And straight ahead a gain of 1 on first down. Well, Spurback, he doesn't blow you away with his speed, but he's got great hands, acrobatic in the air, and he can throw it, he can run it, he can do all kinds of things even as a Wildcat quarterback.
Son of a coach.
Yes.
He knows every position on the field. I mean, there's not even what doesn't he know about football? 3 receptions tonight, 45 yards. He comes in as one of the top pass catchers in Boise State history.
I love what Brian Harsin told us this week.
First
No
charge,
fear
timeout.
in Thomas
Utah
Spurback.
State, timeout on the field.
Aggies call the timeout as we step aside. Boise State driving once again. Start of the third quarter. The 4-point advantage. Well, Monday Night Football, it is week number 4, an NFC battle. The undefeated Vikings and the New York Football Giants at the new US Bank Stadium in downtown Minneapolis, 8:15 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Coverage beginning Monday with Monday Night Countdown served up by Applebee's, 6 o'clock Eastern. Also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, Alex Cordry, great to have you on hand tonight. McNichols back in the game, the swing pass. And it'll be first and goal for Boise State. So apparently the injury not too severe. He's back in there, Tom.
Not too severe, and then you just see his explosiveness on the edge. They flip the ball out to him real quick, designed kind of an outside screen, and then we've seen how fast McNichols is. He just scoots down the sidelines for another first.
Counted for 26 touchdowns last year. Can run it, can catch it. A versatile weapon. Already has 1 touchdown through the air tonight. And dropped behind the line, Brock Carmen.
And you know what I found most amazing at the beginning of this year, Roy? He wasn't even on the preseason Mountain West team as a running back. Remember the great running backs in this conference. Donnell Pumphrey at San Diego State, he averages almost 200 yards a game. They got throttled at South Alabama today. And then you have Brian Hill at Wyoming, who's another. I love that guy. He's a great back that no one knows about. Guaranteed the NFL guys know about it.
No question about it. Kind of reminds you of a Doug Martin. A low center of gravity, physical runner. Empty backfield, the shovel pass. And the tight end Jake Rowe back from injury, brought down by Huerta.
Trying to get Jake Rowe untracked. He was out with an injury earlier this year, just starting to get back in the mix. He played against Oregon State last week. They tried to get him that same ball, that little shovel pass in for a touchdown, and he had such a tremendous year a year ago, making the All-Mountain West team.
Boise State has essentially been borderline perfect. One time they haven't scored in the red zone. The game ended last week at Oregon State. Here's the pass to Spurback. Touchdown! A beautifully thrown ball by Brett Rippon to the trusted hands of Thomas Spurback.
Rippon places the ball in that back corner, and he knows exactly where his man's going to be. Running a corner route to the back flag. It looks like a simple throw and catch. That's hours and hours of timing and hard work and sweat those guys have put in. It's a long summer. Converting to a touchdown and the point after.
Our new score, 8:07 remaining in the third quarter, 14-3. Thomas Spurbeck, 4 catches, 50 yards, and his first touchdown of the night right here. Broncos on top.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA, and Verizon. Join a better network, because better matters.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have any other shades of blue other than Boise State blue?
Are there any other shades of blue besides Boise State blue? Because I have lots of Boise State blue.
Guess I'll take Boise State blue then.
And a special thanks to Jason and our friends at Rana Paint here in Boise for their blue expertise. Broncos lead at 14-3 back here inside of Albertson Stadium. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, Alex Cordry.
I think they meant to say, do you have Smurf blue paint? The Smurf turf.
Now celebrating the 30th year of the blue turf here in Boise. And for more on the 30th anniversary of the famous blue turf, Alex.
Thanks, Roy. Yeah, it was installed in 1986, and the blue turf has been a Boise State tradition for the last 30 years. And the famous Smurf turf is trademarked, meaning anyone who wants to install another colored turf has to ask permission from the university. Guys, seeing it for the first time in person, I was in awe. How's the blue turf looking from up there in the press box?
It's my first trip here to Boise, Alex. And so it's eye-popping the first time you see it in person. But it looks quite nice up here. Here's a deep pass to Lewis in traffic, makes the grab. Rayshad Lewis, the son of the great Ray Lewis. And a gain of 38 yards in Utah State, starting to find some rhythm offensively, Tom.
Yep, 50-50 ball. Lewis comes down with it.
And looking for Tarver on the tunnel screen. False start will push him back 5 yards.
False start, offense. Not all 11 players were set prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, first down.
And Roy, I still think they need to get the ball to Ronquavian Tarver, who had 9 catches last week, 143 yards. He has 0 tonight. But Lewis, Rayshad Lewis, went up. The ball comes out quick. Kent Myers does not mess around. He gets the ball down the field, and then Lewis over the top of Hartsfield for the catch.
Trips at the top of the screen. And the screen to Lewis. That's a good drop right there, Tom. Otherwise, he's going to lose 5 yards on that play.
Yeah, they had Tarver, the big receiver, out in front of him blocking, and just off the hands of the 5'10 Lewis. Ball was a little high. Kent Myers has been pretty accurate tonight, though.
Halfway through the third quarter here in Boise, in front of the 4th largest crowd in Albertson Stadium history. Lindsey goes nowhere. Stuffed at the line. Darren Lee. And the strip sack touchdown a week ago in the win at Oregon State, and a big hit there.
Yeah, Darren Lee is another one of those senior linebackers. Just, knows where to line up, knows where to hit the gap. They're well coached, they're disciplined, and they're fast. And right now, Utah State might be in two-down. Well, they might be in two-down territory to get this first down. 3rd and 15.
Myers floats it out of bounds. That's a coverage sack. Outstanding work in the back end of that Boise State defense.
Yeah. Well, not a sack. Throwing it out of bounds, doing the right thing. Kent Myers, that's an experienced quarterback there. Tyler Horton, number 14, great coverage. And, when you go into the sideline, everything condenses, and Myers just ran out of room. So they're going to bring out Aaron Dalton again, who's had a fine night punting. He was averaging 50 yards in the first half.
He's been your guy so far tonight.
When I'm talking about the punter, it's probably too much.
Butler muffed a punt in the second quarter. Fair catch made it to 16. 1st and 10 for the Broncos coming up after a 25-yard punt. Undefeated Boise State, an 11-point lead here on the blue turf. Well, week number 4 in the NFL is here. And make sure you start it with us here on ESPN. 14-3 our score. Boise State with the lead here in Boise. 10 a.m. Eastern, NFL Insider Sunday edition. Update you on all the injury news and early breaking stories. Coming up at 11 tomorrow Eastern, the new Sunday NFL Countdown. Both shows streaming live on the ESPN app. And watch ESPN. Randy Moss, Matt Hasselbeck, and crew. Be a lot of fun with Boom. Back now to live action. Wide open. Rippon delivers a strike. Chaz Anderson far sideline. And shoved out of bounds near the 45. Anthony Williams the hit after a gain of 29 yards, Tom.
Rippon tonight, 12 of 19. He comes off late. It's an outlet. Chaz Anderson standing on the sideline, and he does the right thing. He scoots up the field, gains a lot of yards and a first down.
McNichols back in the contest. And for an injury update, we check in with Alex once again. Alex.
Thanks, Roy. Yes, something to keep an eye on down here. So Jeremy McNichols was getting his right shoulder looked at by trainers. They were massaging his shoulder. His teammates were coming over to check on him. And then just before they went back out here on the field, McNichols started to throw up in a trash can. But guys, talk about a tough player. He put his helmet on and went out there and joined his teammates.
5'9", 207, a junior, and he is ready to roar tonight after missing the Utah State game last year with a concussion. How about that, Tom? You want to talk about toughness? And Rippon's going to be sacked. Way back behind the 40-yard line, Jontrell Rockamore. And a big loss of yards.
Rockamore coming out of the defensive backfield. That time Utah State dialing up blitz. He comes off the edge and he gets around McNichols and just stays after it. Travis Seafelt also there from his nose tackle position.
It's a loss of 9 yards. On 3rd down, Rippon pressure and a dangerous pass. Huerta was in the area. And a nice stop by the Utah State defense. They needed one.
Well, you know, Roy, Matt Wells said it to Alex when he came out for the second half. Utah State's been winning on 3rd down. And right there again, blasting Rippon. You know, they're getting him off his mark. And that's what they wanted to do. Coming in, the defensive game plan, get Rippon off his mark, get him unsettled back in that pocket. And I thought the blitz on 2nd down was a great call by Kendrick Shaver, the D coordinator.
That's Jets Painter, the 3rd-team cornerback, applying the pressure in that last sequence. High snap corralled by Whale. And Rodriguez makes the fair catch at the 12. It's a punt of 49 yards. It'll be 1st and 10 for Utah State, trailing by 11 here in the Mountain West Conference. Utah State football, their 12-yard line back in Boise. Under 5 to play in the 3rd quarter. Alex Cordry, Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott. ESPN College Football Primetime presented by Geico. It's great to have you on board tonight. A top 10 throwdown weekend, Tom Ramsey. The last top 10 matchup completing just moments ago. Clemson holding on for dear life, 42-36. Your reaction to that one, and then the other 2 top 10 matchups we saw.
Well, I think Deshaun Watson played fantastic. As good as Lamar Jackson is, Clemson's awfully good at home, and there's a reason why they have an unbeaten streak there.
19 in a row.
19 in a row. That's a lot of games, and you know the other games have been spectacular as well. Washington knocking off Stanford, who's been, you know, at the top of the Pac-12, and they just dismantled them. And then there was a lot of defense in that Michigan-Wisconsin game, and you know I think Wisconsin is so well coached, and Michigan. I don't want to say it was a put up or shut up for Michigan, but you know, home field, You better play well in front of that many people.
Batted down at the line. And it'll bring up 3rd down and 8. Oh, and Lua got his big mitts on it.
And I think, the game plan, that's their 3rd batted ball by the defensive line tonight. They knew coming in, hey, listen, Kent Myers is not a big guy, 5'11". Get your hands up. Knock the ball down.
Big play for Kent Myers in Utah State.
1 of 11 so far tonight on 3rd down.
Myers. Dangerous pass and nearly picked off. Well, Jonathan Moxey read the quarterback's eyes from the get-go. Myers tried to thread the needle, and he got away with one there, Tom.
Well, they've won 3rd down on defense tonight. A lot of times, Roy, they have lost the 3rd down battle when they've been on offense, and Moxey almost took that one to the house. You see him break on the ball. Great eyes that time by Moxey, the veteran cornerback, and what a dangerous throw into the short sideline by Myers. They got away with one there.
Joey Butler on the field.
4 straight incompletions for Kent Myers. Here's Aaron Dalton. Has a cannon for a leg this evening. Butler. We'll watch it bounce out of bounds. Be 1st and 10 for the Broncos. Another 50-yard boot. So Clemson beats Louisville. I guess they move up in the rankings. We'll find that out here in the next 24 to 36 hours. Who else maybe impressed you set to make a big jump?
Well, Oklahoma State played awfully well today.
Yeah, Texas has gone south in a hurry, haven't they?
Yeah, Tennessee, Joshua Dobbs. I had people tell me, though, that how good Tennessee has been. They've seen him play, and they thought Georgia may stumble at home. Now, I had Georgia week 1, and Nick Chubb was the show, but Nick Chubb was out this game, and that's why Tennessee took one away from him.
Important game here tonight in the Mountain West Conference, the Mountain Division. Utah State has already lost to Air Force. That was at home last week. Boise State, this is their conference opener. They've won 16 in a row when it comes to conference openers. They want to get off to a fast start. 9-4 last year.
And Roy, I even think this game has added importance because if Boise State continues to win, coupled with a San Diego State loss today, Boise State has to get to that Mountain West championship at the end, but they play Air Force at the end of November 1st.
McNichols churning his legs. Another physical run. It'll be short of the 1st down. 3rd and 3 coming up.
And the reason why there's so much importance on this game, Utah State is, they're good. They're not as good as they were last year, but they're still really good. And I've been impressed with the defense tonight, even though they lost 2 guys drafted into the 3rd round in the NFL. Kyler Fackrell went to the Packers. Nick Vigil went to the Bengals. I mean, those guys were responsible for about 200 tackles last year.
And 25 in this game alone. Flush from the pocket, Rippon sends it to the feet of McNichols. 4th down. Utah State's defense has been tremendous.
Well, Brian Harsin, he's kind of in disbelief. And it's interesting. I had a couple words with Brett Rippon before the game, and I said, hey, man, you're spinning it well. You look really good. He goes, yeah, thanks. He goes, I'm not a freshman anymore. And I said, yeah, that you've turned that page. Experience is the key at quarterbacking, but Utah State has made him uncomfortable tonight. They've really put a lot of pressure on him, forced him to move out of the pocket and change his launch spot.
Well, the Mountain West Conference Player of the Week when it comes to special teams. Another strong punt of 51 yards. The fair catch by Rodriguez.
And if there was a mistake there by Rodriguez, you'd like that to go into the end zone. But this Utah State defense has been spectacular tonight. You see where the cornerback, Jalen Davis, holding the edge. Then they get up, they get around the ball. They've had hats on the ball all night long. They have found it. They've made plays. And more importantly, they've just have kept the pressure on Brett Rippon.
All without one of their top safeties, Dallin Levitt. Poor field position, though, again for Kent Myers. Lawan Hunt. And the junior from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, gains 2 yards, brought down by Sam McCaskill. Time winding down to the third quarter. Kip Myers 12-6 as a starting quarterback for Utah State. Tommy was the MVP, the 2014 Gildan, New Mexico Bowl on the offensive side. Tried to redshirt him twice due to injuries to Chucky Keaton. And his time is right now. Hunt crosses the 10. Weaver the hit. Third down upcoming.
They've been stout up front. They keep really trying to make it interesting on that offensive line of Utah State. But like you said, Kent Myers just a moment ago, Roy, you know, Matt Wells said something interesting to us the other day. He said, you know, Matt Wells, he played the meat of the schedule 2 years ago. Like, he's played a lot of ball. And, you know, again, they just haven't been good on third down tonight. 1 of 12.
Empty backfield. Underneath pattern. And it goes nowhere. Gain of 2. DeAndre Pierce. Just a freshman from Long Beach. And a big hit.
It's hard to win games when you cannot get untracked on third down. But that's just a really nice play by DeAndre Pierce that time. Long Beach Poly kid. I mean, that's great reaction. Just great, you know, getting to the ball.
Rayshad Lewis bottled up.
Butler ready to receive.
And Dalton with the punt. That could be personal foul, the worst kind, a 52-yard boot. And Butler nearly had his head taken off by Anthony Williams. And this play may be reviewed as well, Tom.
I believe so, and it could fall into the category of targeting, Roy, because it seems to be on everyone's high up on the priority list for all games, all referee crews, and this one I'm sure is going to be made the judgment on the field of play. You just cannot go high on any players. You just can't go up into the chest, neck, head area, and Williams didn't time it well.
Kick catch interference. Kicking team, number 16, 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. It's first down, Boise State.
The one thing good that Williams did not do, he didn't lead with his helmet, but he did use his arm up high, and that's why the flag came out. Plus, he hit it before he had a chance to catch it, and that's really what the call was.
Well, you're looking for forcible contact there against the ball carrier. In that situation, the receiver of the punt. Forcible contact, head or neck area, as you indicated, came across with his forearm there initially and then kind of held off maybe at the last second.
Well, and more importantly, he had to allow him a chance to catch the ball.
Now, of course, the replay
Previous
booth
play is under review.
Can take a look at this as well to determine if a targeting penalty occurred. The original term to begin this season was egregious. If they see something that appears to be egregious or now obvious, they can take a look at it, which they're doing right now. And our replay official tonight, Jeff Hansen.
Yeah, he got there before the ball got to Achillean Butler, but then it was it was kind of the timing of the hit and the ferociousness of it.
Rule 9-1-4, my friend, concerning defenseless players. An opponent may not use forcible contact to the head or neck area of that player using a forearm, shoulder, or helmet. So while initially that may not be considered targeting, when you consider the actual rule, the forearm is a part of that rule. Indeed, it could be a disqualification. So we will see. Now Jeff Hansen in our Mountain West replay booth decides on this sequence.
You know, there was an emphasis about 5 years ago, Roy, where someone that was catching a punt, you had to give them a radius of 3 yards in any direction. And They've kind of gotten away from that a little bit. But when the referees are on the headsets this long, expect something more to happen here.
This should be targeting with an ejection based off what we're seeing with that replay and the actual rule itself.
Yeah, you got the rule.
And this would be a big loss as well. Anthony Williams, next matchup coming up for the Aggies at Colorado State. The ejection would warrant, obviously he's done for this game and also the first half of the next game.
Yeah, exactly. That's yeah, they're not light penalties. And, you know, and the coaches they're coaching it daily in practice. The referees are on top of it. They talk to the coaching staff every week prior to the game. The players are fully aware of the rules.
Williams, the leading tackler last week in the loss against Air Force, a career high 11 stops.
Yeah, he's an active guy.
And here's the call.
After reviewing the play, it's been determined there was a foul for targeting by number 16 of the kicking team. Number 16 disqualified by rule.
And Williams frustrated.
Well, he's got to remove himself from the field of play. That's just standard procedure, and that is the accurate and proper call in that instance. You're right on it, partner. And you know, it doesn't have to be the crown of the helmet. It can be different body parts, but you cannot hit that defenseless player.
We think this game doesn't mean something to these players. Williams, an emotional leader, an emerging player for the Aggies defense. We saw what happened last year in Logan. Boise State trying to exact revenge tonight, and so far doing just that. Two division rivals getting after each other in a hard-fought game.
Well, and that provides the start of the drive to be on the plus 40 for Boise State. Their best field possession tonight.
So after all of that, Rowe in motion on first down. McNichols straight ahead. And driven to the turf by Travis Seafelt. McNichols very methodical tonight on this blue turf, at least on the ground. Through the air, he's been much more dangerous.
And Roy, I would not be surprised here if Brett Rippon, well, they'll let the clock run out, get to the fourth quarter. But I was going to say now's a nice time to take a shot deep, and maybe Cedric Wilson might see a ball come his way.
It's the end of the third quarter. Timeout on the field.
14-3.
Boise State Broncos trying to improve to 4-0 in this young season, ranked number 24, in control of their destiny in their conference opener. Fourth quarter coming up next. Now the fourth largest crowd in Boise State history on hand tonight, over 36,000 strong. Undefeated Boise State, an 11-point lead. Start of our fourth quarter, Alex Cordry, Thomas Ramsey, and Roy Philpott on hand tonight. Great to have you with us. The Blue Turf celebrating its 30th season. And some early fireworks to begin this fourth quarter. It's Butler in motion. Deep give goes to McNichols. Now with 89 rushing yards, ushered out by Daniel Gray. And McNichols, Tom, starting to put together another strong performance tonight. About 150 yards of total offense, the majority now on the ground. 61, of course, through the air as well on 5 grabs.
Yep. 18 carries for 88 yards, about 5 yards a carry. And, you know, he is so good coming out of the backfield, too. And, you know, right now an important third down to convert for Boise State.
They'll ride him one more carry. And he rewards Brian Harsin with another first down.
Yeah, that's a big first down on this drive. You know, a 2-score game, 11 points going into the fourth quarter. You know, Boise State, they're averaging 38 coming into the game. And, you know, this offense has always been around 38, 40 points a game for a long time. Over 500 yards of offense. And, you know, I love when Harson's looking down into that play call sheet there. Man, that guy, he's going to dial something up good.
He was dialed in yesterday in our conversations with him here on campus. Nichols stood up and fighting for extra yardage. And he'll lose 5 on the play. Larson and Huerta in to make the stop.
You know what I take away from Brian Harsin? He's passionate. I told him so before the game tonight. I said, Brian, I love how passionate you are, but he is very in tune to the tradition and takes his position very seriously. They've had some good things going since 2000. Dirk Cutter got it started, and he was followed by a whole host of great coaches, Dan Hawkins and Chris Peterson. And Chris Peterson, I see Washington climbing up the ranks.
They're in the playoff picture as it stands now. Penalty flag near side, no play.
There was no play prior to the snap. False start, 87, offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Well, the Broncos came into tonight undefeated, 3-0, but the big issue was the second half, not really finding that rhythm, especially on offense. Rippon's numbers have been down in the final 2 quarters this year, completing just 46% of his passes. First half, he really wasn't necessarily on target as much as he wanted to be. Second half, it's been more of a mixed bag. So from Harson's perspective, he probably wants to close this one strong.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think otherwise, you know, Utah State's going to be knocking on the door here because it's a tight ball game.
But it feels like that it's not, even though the score, it's only 11 points, right?
I don't think it's close on the sideline or between the lines.
Harsin, of course, a former quarterback at Boise State, called plays here 2006 to 2010. Won a couple of Fiesta Bowls during that time frame. Rippon with all kinds of time, dumps it off. McNichols nearly lost his balance. Punishing catch. And he'll get down to the 25-yard line, finally brought down by Wesley Bailey, the backup corner. Gain of 12.
When you break this play down, it's just fantastic because Rippon comes off late. Watch, he's eyes down the field, comes off late. I mean, McNichols was almost an afterthought, and it's a gain of 12.
All kinds of time once again. This is coming back due to a holding call deep in the backfield. He'll have the first down. It was Archie Lewis, the left tackle. And Boise State right now, Tom, shooting itself in the foot.
Holding, offense, number 74. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. It's third down.
Yep, big Archie Lewis, left tackle, got his man locked up good. Yep, got a big handful of jersey. That's an easy call for the referee. I really like what Rippon did, though. He kind of spun out backside and got enough for what was the apparent first down, but that's coming back.
Aggies need a stop.
17.
Rippon wants it all. Wide open, end zone. Lewis. Touchdown. Cedric Wilson, the touchdown grab. He's thrown for a score, caught another one. And the former high school quarterback is doing just about everything tonight, and so far this season for the Boise State Broncos.
Well, he's getting congratulated by Brian Harsin, and you know, Brett Rippon was able to get the ball out. He got it out quickly. Zach Hill, the quarterback coach, has worked with him on a quicker release, Roy, and right there you see the ball come out, got out with velocity, got down the field, and Cedric Wilson tippy toes. I got a pretty clean look at it. I didn't think it was close. I thought he had, but they'll review it because all plays are reviewable and all scores are reviewable, and they'll take a look at it as they should.
All you need is 1 foot down with possession. make a move that's common to the game at the collegiate level. He did all of the above, and the touchdown will stand. Cedric Wilson's touchdown. Boise State extends its lead to 21-3. And the Broncos, Tom, are rolling. Brett Rippon, another quality start. Boise State trying to remain undefeated. Now, week 4, Monday Night Football. The matchup is an NFC battle between undefeated Minnesota and the New York Football Giants. Eli Manning, Sam Bradford. It all starts Monday night. Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's beginning at 6 o'clock Eastern. Also streaming live on the ESPN app and Watch ESPN. Boy, some star power right there. Boise State now leads Utah State by 18. McNichols and Cedric Wilson. If you haven't heard the name yet, you better familiarize yourself with number 1 in blue. He's going to be a terror in the Mountain West Conference this year, Tom.
He's a really good-looking athlete. Remember, this is a 3rd and 17. He gets by the defender, and then there's just not safety help over the top. Rockemore just not over in position where he needs to be, and the ball very well thrown by Brett Rippon that time. And yeah, I call that a spot throw. He knows right where his guy's going to be. He drilled it in, and then you have a big target in Cedric Wilson. And I agree with you, partner. I think Cedric Wilson is going to be a star in the Mountain West Conference.
Father played for the world champion Pittsburgh Steelers in 2005. Utah State needs a touchdown on this possession. And incomplete on first down. Trying to spot Ronquavian Tarver, who's had an ultra quiet evening.
Well, Utah State's got to get a drive here. They got to get down the field and score. And if they get to a 3rd down, they have to convert. They've been only 1 of 13 the entire night. But you have to make the efforts on 1st and 2nd down and get positive yards.
Rifle that one into Tarver. Close to the first down yardage. He'll be about a yard short. 3rd and 1 coming up. Boise State's run defense, 6th in the country coming into tonight. They've more than lived up to the billing so far. Just 54 yards on the ground for Utah State.
You'd expect Utah State to keep it on the ground here. I'd expect Kent Myers to run it himself.
Tunnel screen, Rashad Lewis. And he heard footsteps that time.
That's a dangerous throw, Roy, all the way across the field. And they must spot something they like. They must like the matchup all the way outside. But that is one long throw. The ball gets away from Kent Myers, kind of flies high on him. And then you got Raymond Ford there in the corner right on the spot. He might have made the play. You go for it here on 4th down, huh?
Handoff Hunt. Needed to cross the plane of the 35-yard line. Ben Weaver made the initial contact. Tom only needed a yard. He got close.
You know, I always get a chuckle. The referee 30 yards away on the sideline runs as though he believes he's going to have the correct mark. And in this case, I believe they're going to give him a generous spot. I think they might have to pull the chains out. For
That's
this.
a first down. It's touching the 35 after the touchback on the kickoff.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yep. They get a good push right at the point of attack. Ben Weaver comes and makes contact. Oh, man. Weaver, 51, dove over the pile. That was a great play.
Myers wants it all, looking for Tarver. Contact, and there's the flag. Jonathan Moxey, the senior corner, in coverage. We'll check the penalty. It should be pass interference. Ronquavian Tarver coming off his first 100-yard receiving effort last week in the loss to Air Force.
Yeah, he just hasn't gotten a lot of targets tonight. But they've had safety help over the top on him all night long.
And Moxey indicating he thinks this should be against Tarver.
I don't think they're going to buy Moxie's argument, but there seems to be some discussion amongst the referee and the field judge and the back judge.
Tarver targeted 7 times tonight with just 3 grabs. Never caught that one deep ball out of bounds near the Boise State end zone back in the first quarter.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask. Offense, number 19. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
And Moxie was correct.
Well, the veteran knew, Moxie's the veteran player there. He knows he got grabbed in the face mask. Usually he's the boundary corner right there. He was running stride for stride. And sure enough, Tarver had his face mask and pulled him in. So we didn't have to look, but Moxie did.
Both players colliding simultaneously right before he grabbed the face mask. That would seem to indicate the correct call. That'll make it 1st and 25, way back at the 25, and now 1st and 30.
Offense, number 76, 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
Jake Simonich. Matt Wells not pleased. And you get the sense, Tom, that Utah State becoming a little bit unglued here in the 4th.
Yeah, you don't want to fall apart in the 4th quarter. Not in a close game, and even though it's a 3-score game now, it's something that wasn't too far. There wasn't a lot of differential there a few minutes ago.
Myers flushed. It's sent out of bounds at the 16 by Jabril Frazier.
Again, the reaction time of Jabril Frazier, recognizing that time he was dropping into pass coverage, recognized Kemp Myers had slipped out of the pocket, and then it's just like a beeline on to number 2. But you know, if you're Matt Wells, you know, 2nd and 29, you got to get a big chunk of yardage here and give yourself a chance on 3rd down.
Broncos showing pressure, and now a flag.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 9, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Well, that's just a silly penalty to get a procedure call on your wideout. All he has to do is look in at the ball. Shad Lewis, false start. He comes off the field. They plug in a new receiver, and you know, this series of downs, they've kind of been the bad news bears. The Aggies just have not looked good on this series. That's what 3 penalties will do to you.
Conservative play call. Lawan Hunt brought down by Frazier again. And some more laundry. Check the penalty.
Yeah, we got some long pauses by the ref.
It's been one of those games where the defense has dictated the flow, it feels like, on both sides.
Yeah.
Personal foul, illegal block below the waist, offense, number 26, illegal crackback. This penalty is declined. Result of the play, it's 3rd down.
It's Kennedy Williams, a backup wide receiver.
4 penalties this series of downs, and they have just gone backwards 22 yards. I mean, Matt Wells will be writing a lot of notes. He'll have a lot of good coaching points coming into the film session on Monday. Again, you got to get a positive gain here. Get something to get down the field. You know my style. Run a crossing route.
Myers, McCaskill chasing, dumps it across the middle to Roberts. Get some of that penalty yardage back to make this drive semi-respectable. They Hit by Weaver, the punt team set to take the field once again for Utah State.
They may go for it here on 4th down.
On 4th and 18. With under 10 minutes to play, you don't see this every day.
Well, they may just try and draw them off sides too. I get the feeling though, 4th and 18, it's a little bit long yardage to overcome.
And they'll go for it. Myers floats it up. And Tarver incomplete with a late flag. Boy, he was twisting out of bounds. And looking for the bailout call. He may have found one there, Tom. It'll be pass interference against the Broncos.
Pass interference, defense, number 25, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, they like the matchup. That's what Matt Wells saw the matchup. He saw Ronquavian Tarver against Raymond Ford. And Tarver almost pulled it in one-handed. And he got Ford in the chase position, and that's when the flag came out.
4th and 18, and they convert after, 4 penalties on this drive alone. The benefit of the pass interference call. Here comes pressure. Myers. And smartly throws it away.
There's no foul for intentional grounding. Quarterback's out of the pocket, threw the ball beyond the line of scrimmage. 2nd down.
Nawahide applying the pressure. Number 10 in blue. First time we've called his name tonight.
Yeah, that was a nice play. Nice play off the edge that time. They did bring that additional pressure, and I think it got Kent Myers off his mark as well.
You think about the Broncos, you do think about that pressure. They'll apply it. That odd man front in the stud linebacker position. Pitch and catch Rodriguez, brought down by Moxie. That'll be a short pickup. Boise State still got a chance here.
Oh yeah. Converting on 4th and 18. Number 1, it's remarkable. 2, it's hey, it's Utah State. It's Matt Wells. I guess I'm not totally surprised they went for it. Maybe it was the lack of yards they got on 3rd down to go for it on that 4th and long.
10th play of the drive, still in Utah State territory. Myers fires it high. Well, bring up 4th down. Roberts the intended target.
And they're in 4 down the rest of the way here. They know they need additional scores, and I actually like the bold style of offense that Matt Wells pursues with this Aggie team. And listen, you don't win unless you're trying, right? You don't. If you're not first, you're last, buddy. That's
Aggies perfect on 4th down tonight. And a timeout on the field.
Timeout. Boise.
8:19 remaining here in Boise.
ESPN College Football is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
And back in Boise, Idaho, of course, the state produces 1/3 of the nation's potatoes. Enjoy the French fries, potato chips, hash browns.
We had them all.
Pick your poison.
Did we have them all in one sitting? No. We spread it out over a couple of meals yesterday.
Several very good meals. I've enjoyed my time in Boise. My first trip here, it's been fantastic.
It has been, yeah. So partner, here's a great stat for you. Utah State is 1 of 16 on 3rd down tonight, but they're 2 for 2 on 4th down.
Makes sense.
And why wouldn't you go for it on 4th down?
4th down and 4, under 9 to play. Aggies need it. Boise State called that last timeout to set up its defense. Myers, pass is caught, the tight end Wyatt Houston, and he's got the first down. 3rd grab tonight, yielding a first down for this Utah State offense. He's a weapon for Matt Wells.
Yeah, he is. Man down.
Gain of 15 yards, and Houston trying to ward off the trainers, and will be helped up.
Yeah, he's an awfully good player. Like you said, Roy, he 14 receptions on the year, 138, and he's been good. Yeah, that turf is hard, man.
We investigated it yesterday. It's going to leave a mark.
Yeah,
a blue one. On first down, Myers to Tarver, shoved out of bounds by Moxie at the 30. So Utah State hanging around, needs a quick strike here, a 3 and out defensively.
Myers heating up a little bit too, finding his rhythm.
He rears back, he can spin it.
Yeah, he comes over the top, nice.
Looking for Tarver, batted away rather by Moxie. Just snuck in there the last second.
Yeah, I like Moxie. Moxie brings a lot of veteran presence to that defense, and they graduated a lot of great players on defense from a year ago, but they didn't quite play together as a team. And I think this year's team, a little younger, a little more vibrant, and the personalities change, right? And Moxie's one of those leaders. I mean, he brings a lot to the table.
Lindsey in the backfield on third down. Lewis in motion. Myers looking towards the end zone, and he's got the touchdown. Andrew Rodriguez over Raymond Ford from 30 yards out, and don't go anywhere just yet.
Andrew Rodriguez.
Well, we said it was an important series for Utah State, and more than important because they went for it on fourth down twice and converted. Once 4th and 18, the other 4th and 4. And this is 3rd and 3, and Kent Myers throws a seed. I mean, he drops one in here, and Rodriguez runs a great route. He gets by Ford, and the ball is just perfectly thrown.
Rodriguez coming off a career high 7 receptions last week. First touchdown of the season. 14 plays, 75 yards, 4 penalties later. And the Aggies have a chance here on the road.
Warren's kick is good. 7:41 to go in the game. And the Broncos lead the Aggies 21-10.
21-10 our score. Myers dropping dimes. Rodriguez to pay dirt. We take a look at tonight's planning for success brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Boise State coming in at number 24, undefeated 3-0. The revenge tour continues next week at New Mexico. But a real chance, Tom, when you examine this schedule closely, they're likely going to be favored in all of these games. What that means at the end of the season depends on whether or not Boise State can find a way to win all those contests, and still work to do tonight.
Yeah, and I think Brian Harsin really is on the week-to-week plan. No coach speak there. They're taking one game at a time.
No onside kick for the Aggies. With 2 timeouts remaining, trailing by 2 scores. Touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and a field goal could tie this one up at 21, but the defense now needs to make a couple of stops.
You know what I think? On the Boise State sideline, Roy, I really believe that they have the utmost respect for Matt Wells and his staff, and they're going to keep fighting until the very end. And that's what I like, what Matt Wells brings to the table. You know, he has such great competitive desire. And, you know, former quarterback, I'm not surprised. Brian Harsin, former quarterback. They know each other very well, and they know the game within the game. They know, you know, Brian Harsin knows they got to put some first downs together right now and get a drive going.
2 tight end formation. And driven backwards, so lose a yard. Faimalo makes the stop. Big number 98.
And I think there's a difficulty, but also kind of a good thing for each program. Each head coach calls the play. So as a play caller, you got to think 2 plays ahead. You're always saying he's already got his 3rd down play dialing up right now, but you got to get those positive yards on 1st and 2nd down and give yourself manageable 3rd downs.
Play action. Spurbeck. The pitch and catch. That's a first down. Devin Centers in coverage, but well behind Thomas Spurbeck.
And I was standing behind Brett Rippon when he was throwing this in pregame warm-up, and I was standing next to Zach Hill, the quarterback coach and offensive coordinator, and I was really amazed at how quickly Brett Rippon gets the ball out of his hands. And I mean, the ball comes out with great velocity, but Zach Hill shortened his stride a little bit so he doesn't overextend, he doesn't overthrow, but Spurbeck making a nice catch on that as well, and they like to burn a little clock.
McNichols. Nice running lane along the left side up to the 45, brought down by Gray. Jeremy McNichols approaching 100 yards on the ground, already 61 through the air. I think that's 73 after another grab moments ago.
And we talked about, with the coaches, about that renewed physicality, right? We saw their schedule. It's not an easy schedule by any stretch.
It's manageable.
Yeah, but you got to take one at a time, and you're going to get everyone's best shot because you're Boise State.
The brand of Boise State alive and well. I mean, you look at the home field dominance, the blue turf since 2000, highest winning percentage in the country.
And you bring up a great point, Roy. The brand of Boise State, obviously it wasn't bold and big enough for the Big 12 and their expansion plans because there was a call and a letter that said no thanks.
More on that in just 1 minute. 5:42 remaining. Timeout on the field as we step aside as well. And later tonight, Ole Miss Sports Center at night with Lisa Kearney, John Bucci-Gross. They'll have all the highlights from a busy day of college football. Baseball's playoff races, day 2 at the Ryder Cup, plus NFL news and everything else from a busy sports day. Sports Center at night after college football on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, Alex Cordry, great to have you tonight. Boise State 3rd down and 1. After the Aggies timeout, McNichols, sidestep, spin move, first down. Rockamore finally brought him down, Tom, but the drive continues. Boise State's got to love its position now.
Yep, and on that run, Jeremy McNichols over 100 yards tonight, but that's a great piece of running. Low man wins. Shoulders, hit the hole. He's the low guy. And that, again, eludes one defender over the century mark tonight. His average is a little off. It's a little lower than normal, but those are hard yards.
Ho-hum, another 180 yards of total offense. Just a grinder. McNichols making 190, crossing the 35. Centers, Rockamore with the stop. It's a gain of 13.
Well, total yards tonight, too. Boise State, 355, and they're off their 503 mark, but right there you see the effort. What great effort running through tackles, and they're not arm tackles. Those guys are draped on him.
Third 100-yard gain. Jeremy McNichols, Mountain West Conference Offensive Player of the Week. And on first down, he'll dance his way for another 5 yards. And Alex Cordry has more on the field. Alex?
Yeah, guys, well, Coach Matt Wells said coming into tonight that it would be a tough challenge because he said that Brett Rippon and running back Jeremy McNichols are the best tandem we'll see all year. Coach Harsin also said the run game is everything. But, guys, my question for you is, how high is McNichols' ceiling?
He reminds me a little bit of Doug Martin, who was drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The numbers last year, when it came to touchdowns, 26 touchdowns on the season, comparable to that of Derrick Henry at Alabama. Yeah. I like the low center of gravity at the next level, potentially. You tell me. Again, I'm not Mel Kiper Jr. You played in the league, Tom. You tell me what you see with McNichols.
Well, I think he has a real high ceiling, and that's the reason why he can move the pile. He doesn't look 5'9". He looks bigger than that. He's pretty yoked up. He's a stout 212. And I think, take a look at his power here. great vision, right? Great runners have that. But, Roy, you know what he loves to do? He loves to pass protect. How many backs love to say, hey, man, I like to go jam a defensive tackle, like, jawbone the guy. And I'm thinking, we watched film, we've watched some tape last week against Oregon State. I mean, he stuffed a couple linemen. And I was like, this guy's strong.
Nichols, nifty move in the backfield. He'll pick up a yard. Rock Carmen the stop.
So in other words, he'll play on Sundays. He's a guy.
Well, the NFL is going to love that, right? The ability to pick up the blitz.
Well, the part about pass protection, playing in a pro-style system that Boise State does, they run a true pro-style offense. You can run the ball. He's tough as nails, and he can come out of the backfield and catch passes. Well, that would be the whole package.
28 carries last week for McNichols. And 29 now this week. With a jump cut right as he attacked the line of scrimmage, will net more positive yards. And with 2:31 remaining, Utah State, another must stop on 3rd down. It'll be 3rd and 7 with the clock stopped and a late flag. That one came out well after the last
after
play
the play
ended.
was over. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense. Number 73. His first of the game. 15-yard penalty. It'll be 3rd down. Timeout. Utah State.
It's Travis Averill, the leader, the anchor of this offensive front for Boise State.
Yeah, Servite High grad out of Anaheim, California, 50-year senior. And he's playing awfully well. Speaking of Scott Huff, the co-offensive coordinator, 11-year veteran of the Boise State staff, he said, you know what, Averill really has been the guy, been the glue to that O-line.
We'll take one more look at that last sequence. And just some extracurricular activity. Tom, we went out to that last break. You mentioned Big 12 expansion, and Boise State for a short period of time was a candidate. Big 12 seemingly has kind of backed off maybe an aggressive move to expand. A lot of controversy surrounding some of those targets. Rumors about Houston and Cincinnati. We toured the Boise State facilities this week, and it reminds you of a Power 5 conference, what they have in place here. The weight room was impressive. The trophies were impressive. The personnel here would be a very intriguing fit into the Big 12, but where they are right now in the group of 5, right now they're the number 2 team in the group of 5. If Houston were to slip up at some point this season, all of a sudden Boise State is in a very intriguing position. They need to win out, they need to hold on here, but something to follow as we go through this season. 3rd and 22, McNichols. One more carry for good measure, and that'll bring up 4th down.
And Roy, just to tag on to that, there was 5 criteria that the Big 12 had. Strength of athletic program, fan base, media market. They're the 107th largest media market. So Boise's not, people aren't coming here on summer vacation. I think you're going probably other places. And during the winter, you might stop through like Vail, Colorado.
I like to ski.
Academic standards and reputation. Now, if you look at wins and losses, hands down, Boise State. But Boise State has been orphaned a few times. They were in the Big West. They were in the Western Athletic Conference, and they were in the Mountain West Conference. Take a look, though. Most wins since 2000.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. It's 4th down. The clock will start with the next snap.
When it's not just the wins, too, it's the Fiesta Bowl victories, the 10-plus win seasons.
The penalty. It's 4th down.
The draft picks.
Quality of win.
Yes.
Yeah. The win quality. And since 2000, Dirk Cutter got it started in 2000. Dan Hawkins, Chris Peterson, Brian Harsin served on Chris Peterson's staff. And, he was a play caller on Chris Peterson's staff. And I think those two worked. They just have a great deal of respect for one another. I talked to Brian. I said, hey, what about that Washington game last night? He goes, wasn't that nice? Yeah. Boy. And if you're going to win the Pac-12, you have to go through Stanford. That's a must.
Well, they went through Stanford all right. Fair catch made at the 7 after a punt of 27 yards. Aggies with a minute and 37 seconds to work with. And out of timeouts, trailing by 2 scores. For Utah State, their upcoming schedule: travel to Colorado State for their next contest, and a couple of home games: Fresno State and San Diego State. Well, the Aztecs lost on the road at South Alabama today. Tom, we'll get to see San Diego State in person next week, hosting UNLV. That'll be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, and I really thought they were on the rise. San Diego State, Boise State, seemingly both those two schools on the rise. Air Force, though, doing well as also. Now remember, Utah State, as that ball goes out of bounds, they had an opportunity against Air Force last week. They were down by 2 scores.
Honestly, they should have won that game.
And it was so close, but you got to get this drive and get down the field quickly. And while they don't have any timeouts, everything's going to be close to the sideline, get out of bounds, or get a first down and kill the clock real quick.
2nd and 10, Myers looking for Lewis, incomplete. And I'll correct myself because I don't want to take anything away from Air Force. It was a nice defensive performance and a road win, which is not easy to do in this league, but instant replay on what appeared to be a 34-yard touchdown. Ruled that the pass was not caught. The next play on 4th and 7, it appeared to be a completion to continue that drive deep in Air Force territory. It was not deemed a completion. And then in the second half, a play in which it appeared as if a fumble did not occur. It was ruled a fumble, overturned actually by instant replay. Lindsey, the intended target. And Utah State, 2 of 18 on 3rd down prior to that sequence, and a flag on the field. And this could be another personal foul penalty, this one against Moxie. Well, you don't like to see this. The minute 19 left.
No, and again, the referee's right on top of it.
But going back to last week, quickly, Air Force played very well. They're going to be a very difficult out, as always, running the triple option. We know that. And they certainly are going to have a chance in this conference as well. Lindsey, the junior out of Long Beach. Has been thrust into duty after the injury to Devontae Mays, and Utah State can ill afford another significant injury in the backfield as we take another look.
The Myers gets flushed out of the pocket. Oh goodness. Both players dropped their helmets simultaneously. And that was a collision. Oh goodness. You see Lindsey's just trying to go with Myers. He drops the ball, but then he lowers his helmet. Moxie lowers his helmet.
Well, there's all the key components of targeting there. You got the crouch, the launch, leading with the helmet, lowering of the head before attacking with the crown of the helmet. We've already seen one ejection. Anthony Williams was ejected earlier tonight. He'll miss the first half at Colorado State next weekend.
Yeah, now all these programs can ill afford losing any player, right? And you don't want to lose them to these penalties that there's so much emphasis on player safety right now. You got to know if in question, and you're going low, and we've seen guys pull off, right? We've seen guys going full speed that can pull off or avoid that big collision, and that's just what has to happen. It's got to get coached in at lower levels. It's got to be coached fervently in high school as well. And the referees have a zero tolerance rule here.
So Moxie is ejected. The forcible contact to the head and neck area of a defenseless player. You had the launch, the crouch, as we mentioned, leading with the helmet. He'll now miss the first half of Boise State's next game, and that'll occur at New Mexico. And that's a big loss for the Broncos. And Moxie has been very active tonight.
Yeah, he's played well. He played well, and that's going to be a tough loss. Him sitting out some of the next game. So let's focus back on what Utah State has to do here. They get an automatic first down, 1:19 left, 2-score game. They got to get a couple big chunks of yardage here as Moxie is escorted off the field.
Trailing by 2 scores, out of timeouts. And more laundry, a false start.
False start, offense, number 5, 5-yard penalty, first down.
They've had 3 false starts in the second half alone, and all in the fourth quarter.
Please reset the game clock to 1 minute and 19 seconds.
Colston Green, the guilty party. Remember, on the lone touchdown drive of the night, Utah State overcame 4 penalties, including one of the 15-yard variety. Broncos show pressure, now drop back. The dump off. And ahead to the 25-yard line. Pierce makes the stop against Hunt.
And the Broncos rush 4 that time, but with Moa, McCaskill, and Frazier, they are bringing the heat.
Second down, crossing pattern. That's a first down. Lewis the grab, Pierce again in coverage. The clock stops momentarily after the first down.
Yep, hurry.
Good pocket for Myers. Pass is incomplete, dropped by Lawan Hunt.
Darren Lee there making the hit. And Myers, you know, when your time is fleeting, you got to take a shot down the field. You really do. You got to take a chance. Ronquavian Tarver closest to the sideline down here.
6'3" against 5'11" and Tyler Horton. And here's the target. Horton should have had his second interception of the season.
Well, and here's what happens when you go against Tyler Horton. The receiver's probably not going to outrun him. Tyler Horton's about a 10-400 meter guy, so he's way out in front of the receiver. And yeah, he flat out drops it. He's upset. Those are padded walls over there.
You watch Boise State on film, and Tom, one of the things we saw this week defensively, the eyes and how they're always looking in the backfield. Horton doing it again right there, waiting for the deep ball. It's going to make it very tough against Mountain West foes this year. The aggressive nature of this squad and the discipline that we've seen with the eye control. It sounds, I don't know, maybe like coach speak, but it's a real thing here, and I think the average fan can see it.
Oh, it's real. Before the game, I was talking to Tyler Horton's coach, Ashley Ambrose. Ashley Ambrose, all-pro, great NFL player, played 11, 12 years up in the league, and he played for the Colts, so he and I have this Colts like alumni club handshake. It was kind of special. But I said, hey, who's the best guy out there? He said, Tyler Horton, hands down. Huge upside.
Gain of 14 yards. Continue the drive. Myers, Tarver, and hit by Raymond Ford at the 40.
But going back to your point on the eyes, Roy, there's no coach speak in eyes tracking the ball, because if you trust your legs, you'll get there. You got to see it though.
6 seconds remaining, 3rd down and 5, and maybe one chance to chuck it towards the end zone. We already saw this earlier today. Tennessee, miraculous rally at Georgia, but here Utah State trailing by 2 scores, and Matt Wells go back to the drawing board.
I thought the penalties just ratcheted their offense. It was like throwing a wrench in the spokes of a bike tire, man. It just they had to reset so many times. But they'll take a shot at the end zone here. And they're hopeful that 6 seconds don't run off the clock.
Timeout. Boise State. 30-second timeout.
Now, the Broncos came in as one of the better defensive teams in the country, 6th in the nation against the run, giving up just 20 points per game. Nothing we've seen here tonight would dispute the fast start by that group. I mean, these guys are legit.
No.
And this reminds you of some of the old school Boise State teams.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what Harsin told us. 9 wins, and you said it earlier in the broadcast. 9 wins, while it's good, and they won the Poinsettia Bowl and throttled Northern Illinois. That's not good enough for Boise State. Yeah, it's not good enough. And you got to win the conference title, but you got to hold your ground, right? In the Mountain Division, you're playing good teams week after week. You're going to play against teams that run spread offense. They run option offense, New Mexico Air Force, and then they run power football. You're running across the likes of, Wyoming and San Diego State. They'll pound the ball at you, and they're good. And so you got to hold up in a lot of different facets, and that's why I think their team, they got in the weight room in the offseason. I mean, they said, okay, we got this nice weight room. Let's put it to use. Everyone carries around a hammer. It's really a big sledgehammer. I tried to get it off the wall.
Not easy to do.
Yeah.
One more chance for Utah State. From the 38-yard line, Myers. Pass is caught. And that'll do it.
Pass completion. And that's
Boise State remains undefeated. The 21-10 victory over rival Utah State. 4-0 now in the season. 1-0 in the Mountain West Conference, and a nice division win this evening.
Yeah, really solid. They've won their last 17 conference openers. I think, getting off to a good start in the conference as the two head coaches say hello to one another. They've utmost respect for one another, but Boise State is going to be tough to handle going forward.
A lot of respect shown between Matt Wells and Brian Harsin. Families remain close to this day. But nonetheless, a big win for the Broncos. Still undefeated and looking to climb the polls. They'll likely do that after an 11-point win. Tom, final thoughts?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of movement in the polls, and I think Boise State is a well-rounded team. They can run the ball, they can pass the ball, and they can play great defense.
Big night for Jeremy McNichols, 61-yard touchdown strike. Our final score, 21-10. Coming up next, college football final. So long from